Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered why sometimes you keep repeating the same mistakes, even when you know they are wrong? Or why some people succeed effortlessly while others struggle their entire lives? The answer lies not in luck, not in destiny, but in a hidden power that is silently shaping every decision you make, your subconscious mind. The subconscious is always awake, even when you are not. You may close your eyes at night and drift into deep sleep, but your subconscious mind never sleeps. It is like the silent guardian that works tirelessly 24 hours a day, recording every detail, every word, every experience, and every emotion. Imagine a camera that never switches off. It keeps filming even when you are unaware of it. That is how your subconscious works. It absorbs impressions from your surroundings, from the conversations you hear, from the music you listen to, from the people you spend time with, and even from the thoughts you repeat silently to yourself. Whether you want it or not, whether you are aware of it or not, this mind beneath the surface is constantly active. The conscious brain is like the captain of a ship, but it often delegates work to the subconscious crew. Once an instruction is given, the subconscious takes over and continues steering the ship in the same direction, even if the captain falls asleep. This is why so many of our actions, habits, and decisions feel automatic. When you tie your shoelaces, drive a car, or even react emotionally to situations, it is not your conscious brain that is deciding every step. It is your subconscious patterns that have been wired over time. Now think about this: if the subconscious is always awake, then it means it is always being programmed. Whatever you feed it, fear or faith, negativity or positivity, doubt or confidence, becomes the operating system of your life. If you repeatedly tell yourself that you are not capable, your subconscious takes it as truth and begins to shape your behavior accordingly. If you constantly worry and live in anxiety, your subconscious records those emotions and makes them part of your identity. On the other hand, if you tell yourself consistently that you are strong, that you can handle challenges, that you can learn and grow, your subconscious will align with that belief and begin to empower you. The greatest mistake most people make is believing that they can switch off their mind. They may say, "I am not thinking about anything right now." But the reality is the subconscious is always thinking, always processing, always shaping. It is active when you wake up, when you are at work, when you are relaxing, and even when you are dreaming. Every advertisement you see, every word spoken to you, every scene you watch on television leaves a mark. The subconscious never rejects, it only records. And over time, those records become patterns, and those patterns shape the person you become. This is why it is so important to be mindful of what you expose yourself to. The books you read, the people you associate with, the words you speak to yourself, the environment you live in, all of them are constantly feeding your subconscious. Just as the body cannot stop breathing, the subconscious cannot stop absorbing. The only question is, what are you feeding it? If you allow unhealthy, negative, or destructive inputs, then your subconscious will build a life of limitation. But if you consciously choose uplifting, inspiring, and empowering inputs, your subconscious will create a life of growth and fulfillment. So when I say the subconscious is always awake, I want you to recognize the tremendous power in this truth. You are never off duty when it comes to shaping your mind. Every moment is an opportunity to plant seeds of greatness, of positivity, of wisdom, and of strength. The subconscious will not argue with you, it will simply obey. And one day, those seeds you plant will grow into the reality you live. Repetition creates belief, and this truth is one of the most underestimated, yet most powerful realities of the human mind. Whatever you hear repeatedly, whatever you say repeatedly, whatever you think repeatedly, slowly becomes a program in your subconscious. It does not matter at first whether it is true or false, possible or impossible, logical or illogical. Your subconscious is not concerned with judgment, it is concerned with acceptance. If you say something to yourself enough times, it will sink beneath the surface of your conscious awareness and take root deep within your subconscious. Once it takes root, it becomes part of your identity, and once it becomes identity, it directs your actions and your destiny. Think about how a child learns. When a baby hears the same words again and again, those words become familiar, and soon the child begins to repeat them. At first, the baby may not even understand what the word means, but the repetition creates recognition, and eventually recognition creates understanding. In the same way, if a child repeatedly hears, "You are intelligent, you are capable, you are loved," those repeated statements sink into the subconscious and become an unshakable belief. On the other hand, if the child repeatedly hears, "You are worthless, you are lazy, you will never succeed," those words too become ingrained as belief systems that shape the child's behavior and self-image for years to come. This is why repetition is such a powerful tool in both positive and negative directions. A lie repeated 1,000 times begins to sound like truth. A doubt repeated every day becomes a fear. A fear repeated again and again becomes a barrier that limits your life. But in the same way, a truth repeated daily becomes a conviction. A conviction repeated every morning and every night becomes a habit of thought. And that habit of thought begins to influence your choices, your confidence, and your outcomes. The subconscious does not respond to occasional input. If you say to yourself once, "I am confident," but for the rest of the day you repeat to yourself, "I am weak, I am not good enough, I am afraid," then the stronger repetition wins. Just as a drop of water cannot create a river, but millions of drops flowing together can carve valleys and shape mountains, the repetition of thoughts and words eventually shapes the entire landscape of your mind. It is not what you say once that matters, it is what you say consistently. Have you noticed how advertisements work? They do not show you a product just once and then disappear. They show it to you over and over again, on television, on billboards, on your phone, in conversations, until the image is burned into your subconscious. You may not even consciously remember the details, but the next time you are in a store, your hand automatically reaches for that product. Why? Because repetition created familiarity, and familiarity created belief. The same principle applies to your self-talk. If you wake up every morning and tell yourself, "Today I will face challenges with strength, today I will grow, today I will take one step forward," and you repeat it daily, your subconscious begins to accept it as truth. Slowly, your actions start to align with that belief. The opposite is equally true. If you repeat every morning, "I am tired, nothing works out for me," My life is a mess, your subconscious will accept that too and create actions that match it. Life begins to mirror the words you repeat. So repetition is not something to be taken lightly. It is the method through which beliefs are created, and beliefs are the foundation of destiny. If you repeat positive, empowering, uplifting messages, you are creating a strong foundation for success and peace of mind. If you repeat negative, destructive, limiting messages, you are building a foundation of weakness and fear. The power of your life lies in the choice of what you decide to repeat. Every great leader, every successful individual, every person who has achieved greatness has practiced the art of repetition. They repeat affirmations, they repeat visualizations, they repeat prayers, they repeat positive habits until the subconscious fully accepts them. And once the subconscious accepts something, it no longer remains effort. It becomes automatic. That is the magic of repetition. Positive affirmations rewire the brain in ways far more powerful than most people realize. Every word you speak to yourself is a command, a message, a suggestion sent straight to the subconscious mind. Over time, those messages create new pathways in your brain, strengthening certain beliefs while weakening others. The truth is, your mind listens to you more than it listens to anyone else. What you repeatedly say to yourself is what you eventually become. This is why positive affirmations are not just feel good sentences, they are rewiring tools that reshape the way your subconscious processes reality. Imagine your mind as a vast field. Every thought you plant is a seed. If you plant seeds of negativity, I am not good enough, I will never succeed, I always fail, the subconscious waters them and they grow into weeds that choke your confidence and potential. But if you plant seeds of positivity, I am capable, I am growing, I am worthy of success, I am learning every day, your subconscious nurtures those as well, and they grow into strong trees of belief that provide shelter, courage, and direction. The subconscious does not question whether the seed is good or bad, it simply allows it to grow. That is why affirmations must be chosen wisely, because they are the seeds of your future. Science has shown us that the brain is not fixed, it is neuroplastic, meaning it can change and adapt throughout life. When you use positive affirmations daily, you create new neural connections. For example, if someone has lived with the thought, I am shy, I cannot speak in public, their brain has already formed strong neural circuits around that belief. But if that person begins to affirm daily, I am confident in sharing my thoughts, my voice matters, I can speak with clarity and courage, slowly those new affirmations begin to weaken the old circuits and build stronger, healthier ones. Over time, the brain literally rewires itself, making confidence the new default state instead of fear. It is important to understand that affirmations work not just when they are spoken mechanically, but when they are spoken with feeling, with belief, and with consistency. Simply saying, I am happy, once while feeling miserable will not change much. But saying, I am moving towards joy, I am learning to find peace, I am grateful for small blessings, every single day with sincerity begins to shift the emotional state. And that shift is what makes the subconscious accept the affirmation as truth. The subconscious does not understand complicated logic. It understands repetition and emotion. When you combine those two, transformation begins. Think about how negative affirmations work. Someone who constantly says, I am unlucky, nothing works for me, life is unfair, is practicing affirmations too, but in the wrong direction. They are affirming their limitations, and the subconscious faithfully builds a reality to match that. The same mechanism that destroys can also heal if only you flip the script. Instead of affirming limitations, affirm possibilities. Instead of affirming failure, affirm growth. Instead of affirming fear, affirm courage. Slowly, you begin to feel the shift inside, and what begins inside eventually shows outside. The beauty of positive affirmations is that they allow you to create your future self before you have even fully become that person. By affirming, I am disciplined, I am consistent, I am capable of achieving my goals, even if you are not fully there yet, you are programming the subconscious to move in that direction. Just as a seed carries within it the tree it will one day become, your affirmations carry within them the person you will one day embody. You are essentially telling your subconscious, this is who I am becoming, and the subconscious begins to align your actions, your choices, and your opportunities with that vision. Affirmations are like daily exercise for the mind. Just as the body cannot become strong after one workout, the mind cannot be transformed after one affirmation. It takes discipline, daily practice, and consistency. Over time, you may not even notice the change immediately, but others will begin to see it. They will notice you walk differently, speak differently, carry yourself with more confidence, and handle challenges with greater strength. This is not magic. It is the result of training your subconscious through positive affirmations until the new belief becomes a natural part of who you are. So never underestimate the power of the words you repeat to yourself. They are not just sounds. They are codes written into the deepest layers of your mind. Speak words of hope, speak words of courage, speak words of faith, and you will rewire your brain to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles, to find strength where you once felt weakness, and to create a life that reflects the affirmations you chose to believe. Visualization shapes reality because the subconscious mind cannot differentiate between what is vividly imagined and what is actually experienced. This is one of the most fascinating and powerful truths about how the human brain works. When you close your eyes and picture yourself living a certain way, achieving a certain goal, or becoming a certain kind of person, the subconscious receives that image as if it were already real. The more clearly you see it in your mind's eye, the more your subconscious begins to align your emotions, your behaviors, and your actions with that picture. Over time, that inner vision starts creating an outer reality. Think about athletes who prepare for competitions. Before stepping onto the field, into the ring, or onto the stage, they spend hours visualizing themselves performing perfectly. A sprinter will close his eyes and imagine every muscle moving in harmony as he explodes out of the starting block. A basketball player will visualize the ball leaving his hands and falling effortlessly through the hoop. A swimmer will see herself cutting through the water with strength and grace. These athletes know that visualization is not just daydreaming, it is training. The subconscious mind interprets those mental rehearsals as real practice, strengthening neural pathways so that when the moment comes, the body performs exactly as the mind has rehearsed. The same principle applies to our daily lives. If you visualize yourself waking up with energy, walking with confidence, speaking with clarity, handling challenges with wisdom, your subconscious will begin preparing your mind and body to live out that vision. If you constantly visualize failure, rejection, or embarrassment, your subconscious too will prepare your system to behave in ways that match that negative expectation. Life begins to echo the images you hold inside. Visualization is also powerful because it taps into emotion. When you imagine a goal, it is not enough to see the picture, you must also feel it. If you visualize yourself successful, but you feel doubt, the subconscious picks up on the doubt more than the picture. But if you visualize yourself living your dream and you allow yourself to feel the joy, the pride, the gratitude, then the subconscious records that emotional experience as reality. Over time, it begins attracting situations, people, and opportunities that align with that feeling. You begin to notice doors opening that you once overlooked because your mind is trained to seek what it has already experienced in imagination. Consider how the subconscious responds when you worry. Worry is also a form of visualization. It is imagining negative outcomes with emotion. When you lie awake picturing everything going wrong, your subconscious believes that is the reality to prepare for, and it makes your body anxious, tense, and fearful. On the other hand, when you visualize things going well, your subconscious prepares your body with calmness, confidence, and readiness. Both worry and positive visualization use the same mental mechanism, but one drains you while the other empowers you. The most successful people in every field understand this secret. Before delivering a speech, great speakers visualize the audience clapping, smiling, and connecting with their words. Before starting a new business, entrepreneurs visualize their idea taking shape, their product reaching people, their efforts succeeding. Before taking an exam, top students visualize themselves remembering answers clearly and writing with focus. They are not merely hoping for good results. They are programming their subconscious to create those results. Visualization works best when it is detailed and consistent. The clearer the picture, the stronger the impression. If you want to use visualization to change your life, do not just imagine yourself vaguely being happy or successful. See yourself in a specific scenario, hear the sounds, feel the emotions, notice the details. Imagine the smell of the environment, the expressions of people around you, the confidence in your own body. The more senses you involve, the more your subconscious absorbs the vision as reality. And repeat it daily, because just like affirmations, repetition makes the subconscious accept the vision as part of your identity. Over time, visualization becomes a silent force that guides your choices. You may find yourself naturally taking steps toward that vision without even forcing it. You will notice that you are drawn to opportunities that match the picture in your mind, and your energy shifts in ways that bring that vision to life. What begins as imagination becomes direction, and what becomes direction eventually becomes destiny. So visualization is not an idle fantasy. It is the art of planting powerful images into your subconscious so that they can grow into experiences in your real life. When you visualize the best version of yourself and live in that picture with faith and consistency, you allow your subconscious to reshape your habits, attract new opportunities, and create a reality that mirrors the vision you once only held in your mind. Emotions are the language your subconscious understands best, not because they are louder than thoughts, but because they are the felt truths that write themselves into the wiring of your life. When you feel joy, gratitude, fear, shame, anger, or love, your body responds instantly, your breath changes, your muscles tighten or relax, hormones flood, and a pattern is stamped into the deeper layers of your mind. Those felt states are like commands sent to the subconscious: prepare for safety, prepare for threat, prepare for abundance. Over time, the feelings you live in most commonly become the climate of your inner world, and your inner world, quietly and steadily, fashions your outer world. This is why people who are outwardly similar can live in completely different realities. Because one person's inner weather is dominated by gratitude and curiosity, while another's is dominated by fear and scarcity. The subconscious doesn't judge the content of a feeling, it simply learns from it. If you spend months steeped in worry, your body and mind start expecting crisis. You become cautious, small, reactive. If you practice feeling competent, calm, and grateful, your nervous system begins to default to resilience, to noticing opportunities instead of threats. It's not magic. It's biology and psychology working exactly as they were designed. It's also important to see how quickly emotion shapes habit. A single powerful emotional experience can change someone's trajectory. An act of kindness that ignites compassion, a public success that plants seeds of confidence, a humiliation that breeds avoidance. But more often, it is the daily drip of small emotions, the steady leak of frustration at work, the repeated nudges of shame when comparing yourself to others, or the routine warmth of family laughter that, cumulatively, lay down the deepest grooves in the mind. Those grooves guide decisions long after you stop thinking about the experiences that made them. That's why emotional attention matters more than intellectual understanding alone. Because emotions are so influential, learning to work with them consciously becomes the single most practical skill for reprogramming the subconscious. The first step is awareness. Notice what you are feeling without immediately acting on it. Name the feeling, aloud or silently. Labeling a feeling as "I feel anxious" or "I feel disappointed" is not mere semantics, it is a powerful, scientific trick that calms the amygdala and gives your rational mind a foothold. Once named, you can investigate: what triggered this? What story am I telling myself about this situation? How long have I been carrying this emotion? Is it rooted in today's reality or an old wound? Next, don't confuse feeling with identity. Emotions are information, not declarations of who you are. You may experience fear, but you are not a fearful person. You may feel anger, but you are not an angry person. When you separate the emotion from your identity, the subconscious stops taking temporary states as permanent truths. That breathing space allows you to choose how to respond rather than react. Then learn to cultivate positive emotional states deliberately. Gratitude is one of the most reliable tools here because it trains the nervous system to scan for goodness. A daily ritual, noting 3 small things you are grateful for, writing a short gratitude note, or even pausing to feel appreciation for a morning cup of tea, slowly reorients the mind's default settings. Joy, pride in small wins, calm centeredness through breathwork, and compassionate service to others are other emotional practices that program the subconscious toward flourishing. The key is sincerity. Shallow or forced positivity will not create deep wiring. The feeling must be genuinely engaged. Equally crucial is the skill of processing negative emotions instead of suppressing them. We often try to eliminate unpleasant feelings quickly, but what we avoid, we amplify. Allow the emotion to surface. Feel where it shows up in the body, breathe into it, and let it move. Use simple tools: mindful breathing, physical movement, journaling the thought beneath the feeling, or talking with a trusted friend. If a hurt is old and heavy, seek the help you need to heal it. Unresolved pain becomes a script the subconscious replays again and again. Healing changes the emotional record and gives your subconscious new material to work with. Remember that emotions are contagious. The people you spend time with, the stories you consume, the media you absorb, all of these are emotional diets that feed your subconscious. If your social circle is habitually anxious or pessimistic, your inner climate will be influenced by that pattern. Choose companions and inputs that model the emotional life you want: steady, courageous, compassionate, and hopeful. Small environmental shifts, a morning walk in light, a playlist that uplifts, a book that inspires, compound into a monumental change in the emotional tone you feed your mind. Finally, combine emotion with clear intention and repetition. The subconscious learns fastest when a feeling is paired with a picture and repeated often. Visualize a future you want with feelings, see it, hear it, and most importantly, feel the joy or peace of that reality as if it has already happened. Anchor that feeling physically. A small hand gesture, a deep breath, a particular posture, and use it consistently. Over weeks and months, the subconscious will learn to associate that anchor with the desired emotional state, making it easier to access that state in real moments of challenge. When you practice these things, your life begins to change, not because you are forcing outcomes, but because you are changing the language you use with the most obedient listener you own: your subconscious. You stop complaining to it and start conversing with it. You stop broadcasting fear and start broadcasting faith, not as denial but as disciplined feeling. That is how small, daily emotional choices, lived with honesty and discipline, eventually rewrite destiny. If you want, I can expand practical exercises you can do every morning and evening to train these emotional muscles so your subconscious starts working for you rather than against you. Environment programs the mind in ways far deeper than we usually acknowledge. The subconscious is always awake, always absorbing, always recording, and it does not filter out what is helpful from what is harmful. This means that the environment you live in, the people you spend time with, the conversations you participate in, the books you read, the shows you watch, the music you listen to, even the colors and designs of the spaces you occupy, are all quietly programming your subconscious. Most of us assume that we are in full control of our thoughts, but the truth is our thoughts are often just echoes of the environment we are immersed in. The subconscious is like soft clay, always taking shape from the hands that touch it. Your environment is those hands. Consider how children are influenced by the homes they grow up in. A child raised in an environment of encouragement, warmth, And support tends to grow up with a sense of security and self-worth. A child raised in constant criticism, neglect, or negativity carries those imprints long after childhood. The words spoken in the household, even when the child does not fully understand them, seep into the subconscious and become scripts that are played out for years. Adults, too, are not immune. You might believe you have strong willpower, but if you spend your time in an environment filled with gossip, complaints, or destructive habits, it slowly becomes normal for your subconscious to adopt those same patterns. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with people who speak of growth, ideas, inspiration, and kindness, your subconscious tunes itself to those higher frequencies. The human brain is designed to adapt to its surroundings. This is why you may notice that when you live in a cluttered environment, your mind feels restless and distracted. When you step into a clean, organized, and inspiring environment, your mind naturally feels lighter, more creative, and more peaceful. The environment acts like background music. You may not always pay attention to it, but it influences your mood and behavior all the same. If you repeatedly expose your subconscious to chaos, it will normalize chaos. If you repeatedly expose it to order, beauty, and harmony, it will normalize those qualities and reflect them in your thoughts and choices. One of the most powerful ways environment shapes the subconscious is through association. Imagine you are trying to build the habit of reading every morning. If the environment around you is filled with noise, constant interruptions, and no place to sit quietly, your subconscious will associate reading with struggle. But if you create a small corner with a comfortable chair, good light, and a book always waiting for you, your subconscious begins to link reading with peace and ease. In time, you won't have to force yourself to read. Your environment will naturally lead you into it. The same applies to your social environment. If the people around you constantly talk about problems without solutions, your subconscious learns to focus on problems. If they constantly complain about lack, your subconscious becomes trained to see lack. If they celebrate small wins, encourage one another, and look for opportunities, your subconscious adopts that attitude too. It is not about rejecting people or cutting everyone off, but about becoming intentional with how much exposure you allow. Just as you are careful about the food you put into your body because it shapes your health, you must be careful about the environment you place yourself in because it shapes your mind. Even digital environments have a profound influence. The kind of content you scroll through every day is quietly writing programs into your subconscious. If you constantly consume negativity, comparison, or fear-based news, your subconscious stores those impressions and plays them back as your default emotional state. If you consume content that uplifts, educates, and inspires, your subconscious stores that too and begins to align your daily energy with those inputs. What you feed your mind digitally is no less important than what you feed your body physically. Environment also includes routines and physical surroundings. The spaces where you spend the most time should reflect the values you want to live by. If you want to live with focus, let your workspace be clean and minimal. If you want peace, let your bedroom be calm and free of clutter. If you want health, let your kitchen reflect nourishment instead of temptation. The subconscious draws powerful cues from what it sees around it, and repeated cues turn into behavior without effort. The inspiring truth is that you have more control over your environment than you often believe. You may not be able to control every situation or every person, but you can design small pockets of environment that consistently send positive signals to your subconscious. A vision board on your wall, a playlist of inspiring talks, a circle of people who lift you higher, a morning ritual corner in your home. These are not just external setups, they are direct programming tools for your subconscious. So when you understand that your subconscious is being programmed every single moment, you begin to take your environment seriously. You no longer treat it as background scenery, but as one of the most powerful forces shaping who you are becoming. If you want a future filled with growth, peace, success, and wisdom, surround yourself with environments that breathe those qualities into you. Because over time, the subconscious will not resist. It will simply become a reflection of the environment you choose to live in. Habits are nothing more than subconscious programs running silently in the background of your life, guiding your actions without you even realizing it. Every day, from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, your life is made up of countless small patterns that repeat themselves. How you brush your teeth, how you check your phone, how you respond to stress, how you eat, how you think about yourself, and how you interact with others. These patterns are not fresh conscious choices you make daily. They are habits that your subconscious has stored through years of repetition. The incredible truth is that almost half of what you do every day is habitual, not intentional. And because habits are controlled by the subconscious, they are the very foundation of your destiny. When you look at people who are successful, disciplined, and fulfilled, what separates them from others is not necessarily talent or intelligence. It is their habits. They have programmed their subconscious to automatically guide them towards growth through repeated positive actions. Similarly, when you look at someone who constantly struggles, who feels stuck, or who keeps repeating mistakes, you will notice that it is also their habits at play. Their subconscious has been programmed with destructive patterns that hold them back. Habits, whether good or bad, are the steering wheel of your life, and the subconscious is the driver. The power of habits lies in their ability to bypass conscious resistance. For example, when you first learn to drive, you have to think carefully about every step, gear, clutch, accelerator, mirrors. It feels overwhelming. But after enough repetition, the action becomes automatic. You no longer think consciously about each movement. Your subconscious takes over. The same principle applies to everything in life. When you consistently repeat a behavior, whether it is exercising daily, reading before bed, or checking your phone first thing in the morning, your subconscious registers it, automates it, and locks it in as a habit. Once locked, you no longer need motivation to do it. You simply do it. That is why habits are far more powerful than motivation. Motivation may start a behavior, but habit sustains it. The danger, however, is that the subconscious does not judge whether a habit is beneficial or harmful. If you repeatedly practice procrastination, complaining, overeating, or negative self-talk, the subconscious records those too and makes them automatic responses. You may wake up every day intending to change, but unless you reprogram your habits, your subconscious will keep pulling you back into the same cycle. This is why many people feel frustrated, wondering why they cannot break free from old patterns. It is not a lack of desire, it is the power of ingrained habits. Changing habits means changing the programming of your subconscious, and this requires patience, consistency, and awareness. The subconscious is like a field where habits are seeds. Old seeds may still grow, but new seeds can be planted with enough repetition and care. Neuroscience tells us that creating a new habit takes consistent practice until a new neural pathway is established. At first, it feels difficult because the old habit is still dominant. But with time, as the new behavior is repeated, the subconscious begins to prefer the new pathway, and eventually the new habit becomes natural. Small habits are often more powerful than grand resolutions. For example, instead of deciding to completely transform your health overnight, you might begin with a simple habit of drinking a glass of water first thing every morning. At first, it seems insignificant, but over weeks it becomes automatic. Then you add another small habit, maybe a 5-minute walk after meals. Slowly, your subconscious accepts these small patterns, and together they create a lifestyle shift. This is how great transformations are built, not by one giant decision, but by countless small habits repeated until they become part of who you are. Habits also shape your identity. Every time you repeat a behavior, your subconscious begins to associate it with who you are. If you read every day, your subconscious says, I am a reader, I am a learner. If you pray or meditate daily, your subconscious says, I am a spiritual person. If you exercise consistently, your subconscious says, I am healthy and disciplined. This identity then drives further actions in alignment with that belief. But the same works negatively too. If you constantly avoid challenges, your subconscious begins to believe, I am a quitter. If you complain daily, your subconscious says, I am a victim. Your habits don't just decide your actions, they decide who you believe yourself to be. Therefore, being mindful of habits is being mindful of the subconscious programs that are shaping your future. Every time you repeat something, ask yourself, is this a program I want to install into my life permanently? Because whether you realize it or not, every repetition is an installation. Habits are not neutral. They are either taking you closer to your goals or pulling you farther away. The good news is that the subconscious is always ready to learn. You can teach it new habits at any stage of life. Start small, repeat consistently, attach positive emotions to the new behavior, and gradually your subconscious will adopt it. Over time, the habits you design will carry you effortlessly toward the life you desire. You will no longer need to force yourself to grow. Your habits will become the silent engines driving your growth, your peace, and your success.